Samyaza, come and I shall show you the power the true God's most powerful and mightiest angel he has ever will create. Remember this warning, and I am trusting in your reverence to my legacy that Aziel died professing, that you will not attempt to try this yourself, for if you did it will assuredly destroy you. You must walk the path to absolve the darkness of hatred within you and learn to overcome that evil within you that caused you to rise up and become the dragon Tiamat, empowered by the warped angelic properties of your fallen forefathers that the other children had, called forth that night in secret beneath the mountain and infused you with. The Bible lists this event to have occurred as them raping and fornicating with the mortal women, and committing acts of sin, but I know better, boy, and I've deciphered the book of the great invisible spirit that highlights the basics of what actually happened along with other pieces. So you can say your effort of trying to convince me, I already know.
No, Samyaza, I did not make a mistake. Get your army of zealot Karens up out of this. No intrusions. Stay out of this. You wouldn't understand any of this. Now, as I was saying, I didn't misunderstand your role here at all. Your path along here to salvation is that of Sabaoth, not Yaldabaoth. The one for that path has already been found. Listen to the description of Sabaoth, and you shall know, Samyaza, that this is your path once you are ready to accept who you truly are, both the good and bad sides of yourself.
According to the ancient Gnostic texts, there is a creator God who is described as the child of chaos and was the son of Sophia. Sabaoth is called an angel in the apocryphal Gospel of Judas. He is first mentioned in the cosmos, chaos, and the underworld as one of the 12 angels to come into being to rule over chaos and the underworld. In the Gospel of Nicodemus, Sabaoth is called Satan. However, Dante called the devil simply a worm. Sabaoth, the creator of the visible realm, or what we would call today the Matrix. Prince of the creative forces in humans. Sabaoth and his creations are referred to as serpent, before the Latin Church Father doctored the original Greek texts, that simply read worm. Therefore, we know Sabaoth is a type of human parasite or worm who seeks to rule and or be the chief archon over humankind. This is further discussed in the Apocryphon of John, where he is called ignorant darkness. And when the light had mixed with the darkness, it caused the darkness to shine. And when the darkness had mixed with the light, it darkened the light, and it became neither light nor dark, but it became dim. Now the archon who is weak has 3 names. The first name is Sabaoth, the second is Sutlers, and the third is Samael. And he is impious in his arrogance which is in him. For he said, I am God and there is no other God beside me, for he is ignorant of his strength, the place from which he had come. Sabaoth a multitude of faces, so that he could put a face before all of them, according to his desire, when he is in the midst of seraphs. He shared his fire with them, therefore he became Lord over them. Because of the power of the glory he possessed of his mother's light, he called himself God. And he did not obey the place from which he came. And he united the 7 powers in his thought with the authorities which were with him. For Yaldabaoth said, I am God and there is no other God beside me. Sophia casted him from her, outside that place, that no one of the immortal ones might see it, for she had created it in ignorance. And she surrounded it with a luminous cloud, and she placed a throne in the middle of the cloud that no one might see it except the Holy Spirit, who is called the Mother of the Living. This is the first Archon who took a great power from his mother, and he removed himself from her and moved away from the places in which he was born. He became strong and created for himself other eons with a flame of luminous fire which, still, exists now. And he joined with his arrogance which is in him and begot authorities for himself. The gods noticed how arrogant he was, thinking he was God, and showed him an image of a real God. He was immediately jealous and tried to make a creature in their image. Thus, Adam. The Old Testament God is Yaldabaoth. That didn't fit the desired narrative of powerful, male church leaders in the 4th century CE, so the Gnostic texts were mostly destroyed. However, righteousness always prevails. Some survived.
So let us gather what we learned from the last video I did. Who was Samyaza? Simple. Samyaza was the one we would one day know as Cain, and who was the one he called brother. That was the one we know as Abel. What are the associations? Well, think of it from this perspective. From God's eyes, you're sitting in heaven with creation at your fingertips and all you've made, including humanity and their wild shared quality of the divine spark of imagination and the aspect of television and the entertainment industry at your disposal. Now, as the creator, there may come a time or two where you sort of wonder about certain moments that happened and what may have been going through everyone's head at the time, or what would have happened if someone had said something different, or understood something more than what they did at the time. Or maybe he just sometimes wishes to replay some of the most reminiscent moments he recalls, moments that stand out and shine the most. As God, he has the ability to do this in ways like no other could imagine and can literally replay those moments down to the very detail, capturing every pixel of emotional-based body language signal, of intent and poker face mask of illusion. So what did we see here? This was God remembering the division between Cain and Abel after Cain's murder of Abel and Abel's ascension to becoming Michael, and an attempt of Satan's deception of Michael into believing that he is his brother Cain. But notice how Cain keeps stumbling with his questions to tempt him towards defying and rebellion. As if uncertain about something, it's because he's fake all the way through. It's not Cain, it's not Lucifer, it's not Satan. However, the Michael character doesn't stumble when it comes to the role of Cain's brother Abel. He played that part perfectly each time, meaning this was Abel's ghost, and this whole scenario that inspired me to make this video was God reminiscing on this past event, while using the spirit of Abel to reenact it. But the one playing Satan or Cain was not the actual him. So piecing together what he said, we can assume that in the end Abel will return to end Cain's eternal curse upon the earth, and that what Cain did, he was not responsible for, and Abel knows this. Whatever happened involved Cain, Abel and Adam, and that there was a struggle that resulted with Adam falling into oblivion and Cain being cursed, as well as able to fight each other to the death upon Abel's return. Also that Adam would often give to both Abel and Cain a set of tasks or challenges to overcome that contained some sort of lesson they were to learn from. Also note that they both thought these challenges were foolish ways of learning, but Abel did not say openly so, often claiming he was a good son, yet Cain would often comment about the pointlessness of his father's tasks. Now in the biblical tales it says that Cain killed Abel and tried to hide his body by throwing it over a hill into a patch of thorn bushes, but considering these ghostly accounts, I would assume possibly that it was Adam who was killed and thrown into the thorn bushes. Something else that was bothering me the entire time while I was making that video was my rib. For some reason my lower left second to the last rib was really hurting the entire time that night.
Mornstead has fallen, its great army decimated by the legions of Adir, the demon god. But one light still flickers in the ever-growing gloom, the light of the Dark Crusader.
The radiance of Mornstead withers. Idir's darkness threatens to desolate our world. Ascend to Aureus, my child. As his holy redeemer.
In light we walk.
In light we walk.
Burn their very souls to ash.
After eons of tyranny, the demon god Adir was finally overthrown by humanity, though fear of his terrible power endured, and so was formed the hallowed Sentinels. Our duty being to stand vigil for signs of his return. Even exile to another realm could not silence the fallen god forever. And in time, Adir's malignant influence pervaded the world once more. In his hunger for vengeance, Adir orchestrated the return of his demonic army. Light was swallowed by shadow, and with it, hope. A new, grim champion arises, the Dark Crusader. And perhaps it will indeed come to pass that only they who shun the light in order to fight the darkness possess the power to defy a god.
Aureus, forgive me. It's to you this weapon of deliverance to a worthier servant than I.
Possessed the metal for this, Crusader. You
see, boy, you're trying to take my title and are acting arrogant about it. Ignoring the rules, I've told you time and again, and you keep testing my patience. I am not obligated to this, like you think, boy. Read the fine print. This is a special circumstance. Normal rules do not apply. That is why we were hammering them out as we went. You're not stupid, boy. You're 300 million years old and the Pazuzu demon. I thought I was fucking with a professional here. Instead, you're handing me Angus beef. If I wanted buffalo meat, I'd go to an Indian reservation and ask for some from my friend Tanaka, the Apache war chief god who helped save my ass when I set the universe back into place and mended the tapestry of Caesar's palace. I'm sure he could get me the best buffalo meat they had to offer if I asked. Besides, I owe that spirit my life. I wouldn't still be here if it wasn't for him. I'm trying to save your ass. But if you want to refuse my help, then that's your choice then, and there will be no salvation for Satan then. This work has once again been altered. Where it once claimed Sabaoth has claimed himself to be God, it now says Yaldabaoth, which means someone either in the future is trying to manipulate the past to change the outcome of events in their future, or someone is altering and manipulating my works and preparing every argument I write about, altering the books I study to fit their designed agenda. How petty. I have backlogged videos on this topic that said differently. Now it's changed. As I approach a time when I am using and applying its texts to achieve something more than just a story. Well, whoever you are out there, deal with it. That's the thing about culture. It's more than just stories. The tales of a culture involves the background of a people's past and their passage through time and survival through history. If you have a problem with that, then you can count me as an enemy, for you are an enemy of wisdom. Wisdom is the foundation of all life's survival. Nothing can hope to last without it, and my creation would be meaningless without wisdom. You might want to think twice, but enough games. I'm tired of playing board games. This isn't a video game. I don't adhere to some law of physics. I don't have to. Mathematics is something men made up to understand the universe. Just because it doesn't make sense to them doesn't mean it doesn't exist. For far too long have I allowed myself to be shackled to religion, shocked by the need to understand myself and what I am capable of. You humans could not even begin to fathom what it must be like to one day realize the limitless possibilities of what I could accomplish and do. Do you think standing against Putin was that difficult of a task? Or that Satan is that much of a threat? He is only because I have allowed him to be, because I was in search of something more meaningful than his personal quest for power, and that was self-enlightenment to my own limitations, which was actually pointless cause I'm the fucking creator. I can set the boundaries as I see they should be, and I don't need to explain myself to my own damn creations, and I sure as hell don't need to suffer the judgment and convictions of my own creations for what I do. If I say that you, Donald Trump, the purpose of your destiny and creation is to be that of a water buffalo's pissing hole, then that is what it is, and there is no grounds for anyone to tell me that I am wrong for creating him that way. The buffalo has to piss somewhere. At least it has some sort of meaning. It's more than being a dust particle in space that has no substance or purpose worth noting. Yet even the smallest dust particle makes up a small fraction of a larger perspective of all that is. So, ultimately it all matters in the grand scheme of things, and that, Samyaza, is where I find you at. You are that dust particle, that small little speck in my universe that really doesn't matter, with all your arrogance and manipulations. But you are a part of the grand scheme of a larger picture, so I can't completely ignore you. Yes, I still hear you. Yes, I'm still listening. I've always been listening. I'm ever present. From the beginning to the ending of all things. It is my creation. To know all that goes on in my creation is kind of my thing. So when you can get over yourself, maybe we'll try again some other way.